book is coming out soon. I dropped my publisher because the guy who greenlit my book got fired or left the company. Something happened. And then they brought in a new lady.
Back up the whole thing. Okay, so you get this book deal.
I get a book deal.
Which I think is fantastic.
It's a great medium for you, yeah.
Yeah, I really like this.
Well, thank you.
The book is specifically about
my boomer parents and boomers in general.
And
growing
how
up
they
in
ruined
the 90s. Yeah, it's like a fun
satirical
autobiography, but it's really about the type of people that I grew up with, which because of the internet, I think people's personalities are being more flattened now.
Yeah.
And these were really unique, terrible, funny, selfish, horrible, vicious, racist, homophobic, misogynist, awesome, fun, lovable
Americans.
Scamps. They were fun people.
You can be all things.
It can be all things. Yeah. And they were just really fun, and they had perpetual victims, always aggrieved. Easiest run of all the generations, probably, outside of Nam. It was pretty smooth sailing. But again, they're always upset. They're always pissed off. They're always complaining. No, it's so true.
The easiest run
they bought of any generation.
And they fucking cry about it.
And they cry about it nonstop. It's horrible, the things they had to endure.
They bought a home for 40 grand.
Yeah, traffic, you can't get anywhere. Lines at the grocery store. They are the most.
Everybody's got an opioid addiction now. They're like, oh, it took me 2 hours to get to my $20,000 home. And
they're completely
disconnected.
Served in the war.
They were born after.
They were born after. They're disconnected. They keep telling their kids to do the things they did. They're not aware. It's impossible. My dad said once, I was like, all these jobs are going to be automated. He's like, you kids will have it all. He goes, you're not going to have to do anything for yourselves. I go, yeah, but those are jobs that people aren't going to have. He's like, oh, come on. They don't care. And they're very funny. They're actually really, really funny. My dad said, we were at Christmas, and my step sister said something annoying about climate change. She's like, something annoying. And wife lives in D.C. or whatever, and whatever. I was eating a risotto ball, and she was talking. And then my father goes like this. My father goes, when you really start to pay attention to the weather? When you get a boat. And then he goes, because we are on our boat, and we are really paying attention. And that's their generation of people. Like, that's how, if they are not directly affected, I mean directly affected.
They don't give a fuck.
They don't give a fuck about anything.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it is the selfishness that they're completely
invited
unaware
their realtor to Christmas. My father looks at me and he goes, she's been fighting brain cancer for 20 years. He goes, she's really something. And then I'm like, so they are ghoulish. They're ghoulish.
What's the title? I need to know the title.
Death by Boomers.
Ah, okay.
And it'll be about just how they...
Where do you get
They used to call us fat fucks. Like my friend's mother, Barbara.
Yeah.
And it was the funniest thing in the world. She would smoke a Marlboro Red. She would roll down the way. This was her son and me. She would roll down the... imagine. By the way, imagine. Is there a better woman than this?
How old are you?
14. She would roll down the window of her Saturn. She was smoking a cigarette, and she'd go, where are you fat fucks going? I mean the mother, his mother.
Big Mama.
Big Mama.
Okay. So they're like we talk about the generational wealth and the shit kids are ruining. Are they that for America? They had this.
But they're not even wealthy.
They're not wealthy.
That's the thing.
No, they have like a nice chair.
Yeah. But America
They're actually better off than the wealthy people because at some level of rich, you have to think about other things.
Yeah.
They had just enough money. All it did was corrupt them and destroy their children. And that's all it needed to do. They never thought about civic virtue or angling for position. They just wanted a Lexus and a shitty timeshare at a golf resort.
That's so true.
That's all they cared about.
What I'm asking is, America was a power, and then this generation comes and then just kind of squanders the power, like the Vanderbilt.
No, it's not even.
It's not even that. These people are.
They live on Long Island.
Yeah, they live in Long Island. They live in the suburbs of any city. They're 30 to 40 minutes out of any city.
Yeah.
They are constantly talking about the girl at the dry cleaner who screwed their life up because she doesn't speak English and didn't understand what they wanted. They are to be found.
Did you see Meredith's Christmas lights?
Yes. They're what we call pool and patio types. They're on a patio by a shitty pool. Yeah. They're talking about how many sacrifices they made for their children.
Yeah.
And when in reality, they've made none.
Yeah.
I had one woman tell me once, this woman Lisa, who I love, she looked at me, she goes, I married my husband for very practical reasons. She was drinking a martini, we were smoking cigs and drinking martini. She goes, I married my husband for very practical reasons. She goes, we were never in love. I was 16 in high school. This was like a heavy thing to drop.
Yeah.
I was like best friends with her son. It was like a heavy fucking thing to drop. I was like, oh, I go, but you have fun. And she looked at me, she goes, we have fun. It was like amazing. I remember that moment as like, so interesting. She was very into like Eastern philosophy.
Okay.
And she was a housewife, and a lot of them were, right? She was into like Buddhism, and she goes, you just go around this planet many times until you get it. And then she'd look at her son and go, she'd go, and you're never gonna get it. she said once, she goes, I swear to God, she goes, she said,
Why the hatred to their kids?
That's so
because
foreign to me.
they view their kids as an impediment to their wellness, success, fulfillment. They did not. They're the first generation that did not want their children to have it better than they did.
Yes.
They actually wanted their children to be like they like put
Did the
kids
children
in
get in the way? Were they the first?
Yes, they got in the way.
So are they the first generation that are like, it's my life and I should be able to do whatever I want with it?
Yeah, I think the children got in the way, and I think the children also were there to support them emotionally, not the other way around. The children were there to let them know how.
So you have the greatest generation, and then you have the ghoulish generation.
My friend's mother I swear to God, just made up a fake attack in a grocery store. In a grocery store parking lot, so she didn't have to go to his wedding. She made up the fact that she was pushed down in the parking lot of a grocery store. This is a complete lie.
Her son's wedding?
Her son's wedding.
Unbelievable.
And she said, the attack has prevented me from going to your wedding. This was a complete fabrication. She invented that she was attacked in a grocery store parking lot.
Okay, real quick.
Unbelievable.
Unreal.
Okay, so every generation that had a major war is sold the story of, hey, we are sacrificing for your wives and your children, right? This generation, the boomers don't have a major war.
No.
So is there no indoctrination of sacrifice? So then when they do have kids, they're like, why are you in the way of me enjoying whatever I want to enjoy in this moment?
They absolutely are that. It's a great way to put it. They're also the first generation of people where they really try out mass marketing on these people. They are marketed to death. They are advertised. They have entertained themselves to death, which is a great book by Neil Postman, Entertaining Ourselves to Death. They're the first generation that is, my father used to cry at the Budweiser Clydesdale commercials. He loved the frogs. He loved the frogs.
I love the frogs.
He loved the frogs.
Crying at the Clydesdale.
No, he loved it. This is the first generation of people
having emotional
to watch World War
attachments.
II documentaries, to feel proud of accomplishments they never had and sacrifices they never made. And they would watch World War II documentaries and they'd feel very proud of themselves while eating a cake.
Yeah.
That's the boomers.
They love a cruise.
That's the boomers.
But what happened? What is the generation before that? What I'm trying to understand is, like, where do you get this perspective? Because that's all you know. That's who you were raised by. That's
right.
what you think people
So their
are.
parents were like the greatest generation.
But how do you know that boomers are weird? Because that should be the only thing you know. That should be
your
what
reality.
boomers are.
I know a lot of people of a lot of different ages.
So you knew older people, and you saw how different they were from your parents.
1000%.
Okay, so give me great generation.
Greatest generation.
How did they raise these people?
I think they were maybe if they were a little cold, a little withholding,
coming back from war,
stoic.
Yeah.
But I think they gave their kids a lot. I think they gave them a lot of context to what life is. It was a lot of religion. My grandparents were incredibly religious. There was also kind of this idea that their dream was for their children to have a better life than they did.
the children were like, I'll do it.
The boomers' dream was to have the greatest lives they could.
Yeah.
It was not about their
It didn't
children.
continue.
They actually felt that their children
Inhibited their dream.
To some degree, and they also felt like if their children couldn't figure it out, they couldn't figure it out.
Even the TV shows that come up from it are resentful of the children.
Yes,
There's a lot
always.
of comedy that's resentful of children,
Yes.
which is something
Which
that
I love,
I'm
but-
finding out is kind of changing. Maybe it's just because I'm older, but like anybody around my age who just had kids, they message me and they go, "This is the greatest thing. You are so lucky. Enjoy these years."
Yes.
They love their kids.
No, it's amazing.
And it is so different than the comedy you saw. Like,
And it's not funny.
It's not at all.
And it's good.
And it's
but
my
it shouldn't
funny
be.
friend. Even funny friends will just go, hey, this is awesome. This is amazing. Of course, the funnier take, hating your kids, whatever Louis was doing.
Yeah.
But that comes from a generation of
Yes.
people that were very comfortable going, these kids are annoying. They're getting in our way.
1,000%. I also think they were the first generation of people to get effed up with their kids. They drank with their kids. Some of them smoked pot with their kids.
Oh, yeah, there was no disconnect.
There was no disconnect.
The cool
They were like-
mom, cool
the
dad.
cool mom. They were like drunk. They were falling down in front of their children. Their children
They
were
would
putting
throw
them
the
to
house
bed.
party at their house when they were
We
there.
were doing drugs with our parents' friends. They were like screaming and yelling and just complete lunatic. They were complete maniacal.
And why?
lunatics.
Why was there this? Why was there no
I
disconnect?
just think it was, it was the relative ease at which things came to them. They had to create their own struggles. It really exposes the lie of the Woodstock generation. The Woodstock generation has been, I know you'll love this. We'll do Vatican II in a minute, but but the reality is the Woodstock generation, we see them as this progressive, free-loving. They were just selfish drug addicts. They were just selfish drug addicts. The drug changed.
Keep going, my boy.
The drug just became money.
Yes.
Consumerism. Booze and pills, they were just selfish drug addicts. They didn't care about any of this stuff. They just wanted to have sex in the mud and do heroin, and that's okay. But the boomers proved that because the boomers were those people.
And they just, the drug just became
The
money.
drug just became money and status and all of that stuff. The belief system that was supposedly underlying all that actually never existed, ever.
I've always wondered, because I was thinking about this like last week, like these guys that are so conservative now were the Woodstock guys. How did that happen? What changed? And
Well,
that
they were
makes a lot of
never
sense.
liberal, and they're barely conservative now. They actually chase their own self-interest like a dog chases a steak.
For example,
They're all anti-global warming, but all of them want to live on the water.
yeah.
They all want to live on the water. They all want to have a boat. They all, for the most part, think global warming is full of shit.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I mean? But they all want in the nature to be exactly what it is for them.
Yeah.
Everything is for them. They are against the migrant crisis, but they adore housekeepers, nannies, and a lot of the things that come with it, right?
Yeah.
They think Biden's too old, but they're 75 and they're not retiring. And they're not selling their house. And they won't sell their house, and they're retiring to a larger house.
Yeah.
But they also will scream and yell about Joe Biden being too old. But are they going to pass the business down to their son?
Nope.
Or are they going to put the house on the market? Or are they going to, no.
Are we different? And if so, how did we get
The
different?
millennials suck for a whole host of other reasons. They're a ribbon.
Are we millennials?
Kinda.
I think we are.
Millennials suck
Barely.
for a different generation because they were raised by these kind of boomer parents that were kind of Looney Tunes. The millennials got instilled in their heads that they wanted to be constantly recognized for something because their parents were so hostile towards them. The millennials went to universities in corporate America and said, please pin a ribbon on me, tell me I'm good, look, I voted, look, I believe in this and that and this cause, and I'm
Pats
gonna
on the back.
I'm gonna pats on the back constantly.
Interesting.
I'm good, love me, love me, love me, society. My parents hate me, will you love me? And they became annoying. They became helicopter parents. They're the ones that are over-parenting their children to compensate. They're the annoying people that are like, what's the new thing?
Dude, the pendulum
Ukraine,
swing.
this flag, sub that flag, now it's that flag, now I'm into this. And all of it is because they just want to be,
Adulation.
I had cousins and people like that. All they wanted was to get into a good school to hold it over people's heads. You know what I mean? They didn't care about knowledge. They don't care about some of the dumbest people I know are the most well-traveled because they learn nothing by traveling. It's just an Instagram photo. They don't care. It's what I respect about you. You learn stuff, and I'll talk to you. Like you'll be like, you're inquisitive when you go to the Middle East and places like that.
Yeah.
When my cousin goes to the Middle East, not just her, but people like that, when they go anywhere, it is solely to show other people that
you went there,
zero care about anything. That's the millennials. It's groupthink.
Yeah.
It's give me love, tell me I'm good, tell me I'm better. I've done the work. I put the time in. Look at me. I got the job. I got the office. I'm the girl boss. I'm the whatever.
Yeah.
And the Zoomers are kind of a little more fun because they're a little bit more nihilistic. They've seen all the institutions crumble. They've seen all the things
Zoomers
burn.
are after Gen Z. Oh, no, that's Gen Z.
They are Gen
So this
Z.
is after millennials.
Yeah,
This
and
is,
the Zoomers are more self-starters. They're more independent. They've seen operations like this. They've seen people make great careers going the independent route. Millennials really, for the most part, didn't see that. Millennials looked more towards the institutions. They wanted those institutions to convey the respect on them that their parents didn't. The Zoomers are like, okay, we're out here in the wilderness where
let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. We're self-starters. We don't need anyone. We don't need a corporation.
And their parents love them, so they don't need that validation.
And their parents love them
also
too much.
They've kind of like maybe it's badass of them, or maybe it's dangerous, but they've kind of rejected the woke ideology a little bit.
Yes, they have, because it's a very the woke ideology is a very millennial
so you
ideology.
have to reject the generation.
Yeah, that
before you.
ideology is about advancement. It's not. It's about the revenge of the mediocre. It's not about helping actual, genuine people that have been disenfranchised.
Yeah.
It's more about pinning a medal or a ribbon on yourself and saying, "I believe the right thing. Give me a job. I want to. I want to be."
It's
You know,
selfish,
it's all these people that went to school and they majored in things like gender studies, and then all the boomer right wingers were like, "You'll never get a job." It's like, no, they created the jobs.
Yeah.
They created the jobs. They created the institutions. They said, you need a diversity thing. You need a sensitivity reader. You need this. You need a cultural sensitivities are. And they became all these jobs. And that's what the Zoomers see, how fake it all is. They see through it.
Yeah.
And the millennials do such a bad job of disguising
that
it's really just like, whether you want to call it a jobs program or the revenge of the mediocre, that's what a lot of that ideology
It's refreshing, though, that the Zoomers see it so clearly.
Yeah.
Like, you speak to some of these kids, and they're painfully aware of how ridiculous it is.
Yes.
They kind of laugh at it, but it's not like they're not progressive about certain things.
Yes.
There's certain things that make sense. They're like, they kind of go, yeah, obviously. Like, you don't have, it's not like their rejection is
They have so
fucking
much
throw gays
info.
off the buildings, right? They don't
Not all of
reject
them.
that.
Right, yeah.
The bad ones.
Yeah.
But there are a little bit, I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, they're
gay marriage is obvious. It's like, yeah,
exactly.
of course.
You're like, yo, let them get married, whatever.
But we can also call each other gay, and that's not hateful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they've kind of like evened out in a nice area.
I think that generation would be the one that is going to have the biggest role to play in all of the things we talked about and where America lands.
Yeah, you have the most hope for them.
And whether it's hope, it's certainly interesting to watch. It's too everything you're saying is correct. I think it's too soon yet, because I think we could have looked at like these boomers and went, wow, they're really rejecting like this commercialism and all of this stuff, and then literally they turned on a dime. So I don't know which. It's very interesting to watch. But I think the indications are good from that generation, except there's a little nihilism there. And the nihilism is a problem. And the nihilism they can black pill themselves into.
Explain nihilism a little bit.
The idea that because everything is so terrible and all the information is at their fingertips,
they can't believe any of the information.
They kind of not believe any of it, and they've disconnected emotionally from it. That's why they'll just watch videos of people getting their head chopped off all day.
Also, like, a lot of the drugs are disassociative, right? They're like,
I mean, Euphoria is such an amazing show because it does paint like a pretty accurate perception of what's going on in a California high school. You have people ODing, people struggling with gender identity, violence. You have people's parents, struggling with drugs issues. So it's such a great show. That being said, like, Sam Levinson did a great job of painting an accurate picture. But you watch your show and go, wow, what an amazing show. Then you go, I don't want my kid going there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, I don't want my kid going to Euphoria High.
Yeah.
But the nihilism is interesting. I have noticed that with some of them.
They're a little black-eyed.
They are
black-eyed nihilists.
And I thought it was
my godson, 3 years old, black-eyed nihilist.
Yeah.
Just kind of looks at you, doesn't care.
Unaffected,
doesn't
They've seen
care.
everything.
They're just they're.
I thought
they've
this was,
seen everything.
You know, it's funny. I thought this was a. I saw a lot of girls that grow up in New York City are like this.
Oh, yeah.
Even our generation.
They're going to clubs at 14.
Exactly. They've seen it all. They've
seen
been
it
like
all.
had fucking disgusting old men with their like parents' friends try to fuck them. Like,
Right.
They've seen the world for the worst versions of it. If you're protected in a nice, lovely little suburb and everybody's polite to one another and you're not being manipulated by old dudes every single day and some guy's trying to finger you at work, etc.
Yeah.
You can have, these doughy eyes about the world. These girls at 14 going to the fucking clubs.
They know what it's like.
And they have that that little bit of nihilism, that's what I see in the Zoomers.
I think
it's a little bit of darkness.
And it's good, but they can't OD on it because then it could get a little...
Well, you're unaffected. You're just unaffected by anything, and you need to be affected to do shit.
You need to be affected. You need to care a little bit about something. And it's just very hard. It's very hard because the world has gotten crazy.
Yeah.
And it's always been crazy, but it's now delivered to you. That craziness is delivered to you. There's a gang of kids in Arizona, white kids, running around attacking other kids randomly. They killed one of the kids. It's in Gilbert, Arizona. It's like an hour outside of Phoenix. I talked about it on my show. There's endless videotapes of these white kids stomping on the heads of kids.
Jesus.
Stomping on the heads of children. These kids are raised in gated communities in the suburbs. So there is something, I think, there's a nihilism that goes on where these kids become sociopaths by they're desensitized.
Yeah.
Okay?
Pulp Fiction.
And it's crazy.
Clockwork Orange, yeah.
Clockwork Orange. This kid, Preston Lord, he died. This 16-year-old kid was killed at a house party. And, now they're trying to make arrests. It's kind of difficult, but like, they're running around Arizona. These are rich white kids rich by the standards of Arizona, not Manhattan. Their parents own a fucking gym or something.
But they're also like,
you know what I mean?
They're also kind of raised in a social media era that's not really about, this is going to sound super fucking pretentious or whatever, but there's not a lot of art in it. It's more just like clout and clicks.
That's correct.
So it's just, how do I get attention? Whereas I feel like maybe we had a benefit, at least growing up in New York, where like, even if you weren't the most successful person, if you were the best artist, you had a lot of respect. Like people like, hey, that guy right there is a great skateboarder. That guy's a great, and you really respected that person because of their craft.
Yeah.
And I feel like now it's just like, what kind of train wreck will get the most views and clicks? Okay, let's put that out there. And then you have kids trying to recreate the train wreck instead of getting really good at a thing. And when you know that it doesn't matter about being good, it just matters how crazy the train wreck is. Of course you're going to be nihilistic about it. Why would you care? You don't care at all.
That's right.
What's the split though? Because you started saying Gen Z is like the most hopeful generation, and now you're saying...
Well, there's hope in them in that they look at our absurdities, and we do have a lot of absurdities.
Yes.
The worst version of them is black-eyed nihilists that don't care about anything at all.
That's the fringes, I think.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think the best part of Gen Z is that they're appropriately skeptical of the institutions.
Yeah.
And they're not...
They're raised being, it's like they don't need to learn like us. Like we learn.
They look at Big Mama.
They know.
And Big Mama comes on with the cookie.
Yeah.
And she takes out the whiteboard. The boomers love it. They get excited.
Yeah.
That's our avatar. That's Big Mama.
Yeah.
Katie's going to come on and slap Jamie Dimon around. This is our Tuesday ritual.
Yeah.
The Zoomers look at that and they know what it is. They know it's fake.
Yeah.
They don't care.
They laugh at it.
It's funny. It's funny. It's entertainment. It's the way I look at it. And I think that's the best version of them. The worst version of them is running around and killing people in Arizona.
To give them credit, there's stories of us killing, like, who was it, Matthew Shepard, I think, when it was like the late 90s. This dude is gay, bunch of homophobic.
Yeah, that was a meth thing that they've repurposed to be a homophobic thing. It was meth related.
Oh, really?
I'm very big into facts, but I'm sure they were homophobic as well.
It just so happened.
It was one of the. There's more layers to it. That being said, I'm sure nobody was winning a progressive award down there.
We had our fringes that did crazy.
We had our fringe. We had the trench coat mafia.
Yeah.
We had school shooters. We still do. There's always going to be, I think, that antisocial thing.
Yeah.
But. Are these kids getting, the machines are also big. Maybe it's not the kids of the future. Maybe it's the machines.
I feel like the Zoomers would see a school shooter and like eye roll. They'd be like,
oh,
really?
yeah, totally.
Well, it's still happening.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about the school shootings now is that they're not as effective as they were. In the sense that society doesn't care.
There we go. Yeah.
They don't care. Society doesn't care anymore. No one cares.
Yeah, it sucks.
And it might actually stop them.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
start
if you're
pouring gas and lighting yourself on fire.
There you go. Make some
Viral.
change.
At least that's you. I have no problem with that. That's just you making a choice for your own
But
body.
that's the Zoomers. If they're so desensitized to
then
this
do
thing,
it yourself. That's a great moment that he's having there. And I look at it because when I see, and he's still, because he begins the Free Palestine, he says it, and then the third one he's really going. So he's like,
he's curdling.
But it's a great moment in terms of, brand awareness.
Yeah.
This is brand awareness.
It is.
It's brand awareness. He's in the fatigues. He's in the camo. He's in front of the embassy.
Fresh press.
It's well framed. The video's good. It's not too high def. You don't want too high def.
Yeah.
You don't want to shoot this in 4K.
feels wrong.
Yeah.
This is a
Doesn't
1080.
feel corporate.
Yeah.
It feels good. And you know what it is?
1080.
It's a 1080. You want it a little blurry, a little grainy. It's more historic. It's more historic.
You
And
don't
I
wanna feel
just
like it's branded.
I love this for him right now.
Is there any narration?
Yeah, he just yells free Palestine a few times. And then
But
claps.
we need like a black kid holding it like, damn.
Yeah, well, it's got to be on World Star.
Yeah,
People are going to comment on it, but I just love this for him right now. I love the visceral. I love the look.
Yeah.
And I think it's, because marketing companies are looking at this. If you don't think they're going to somehow learn a lesson from this to sell Chobani flips, you're out of your mind.
Chobani flips.
You're completely out of your mind. If the Chobani marketing team is not watching this video,
Those are great.
and they're amazing because you put right in. It works. But if you don't think they're watching this over and over again to try to figure out how do we get into Dillon, what if we pour nuts on ourselves outside of the Dannon factory?
there you go.
Say free Palestine.
And say, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's interesting,
If you're not playing Prize Picks and you're playing fantasy sports, make the switch. Fantasy's a pain in the ass, you know it. You got to set your lineups every week. If one of your players gets injured, you got to adjust everything. You got to be there for a draft. It's so time consuming. Prize Picks is so easy, daily fantasy app. And most importantly, if you go to prizepicks.com, they will match your initial deposit up to $100 if you use the promo code Schulz. That means if you put in 100, they will give you 100 for free. Look at that. Happy just perked up hearing about 100 free dollars. All right? All you got to do is pick 2 to 6 players every game, anytime, any day that you want to. And if they win, or if they go more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 25x your money on any entry. For example, tonight you got Mikal Bridges getting more than 24.5 points. Pick more. If you got Mikal Bridges getting less than 10 rebounds, you pick less. There you go. You just did it. I just did a prize pick for you. So it's that simple, guys. Do it on any sport you want. NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, PGA, college football. They even did the World Cup of cricket. I did that back there when I went to that fucking disaster of a final where India lost. Guys, prizepicks.com, promo code Schulz. Get on there. It's super fun.